Well, here we go. It's early the next morning. If you notice on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, it's 7:33 a.m. Yeah, I don't usually read my comments this early, but I just happened to this morning. And let's just move over here to comments. There's something I want to talk about. I don't think I'm going to be showing you anything I don't want you to see. All right. This is the most recent one right here, if you can see my cursor moving. Okay, let's go down here. Now what I wanted to comment about was right here, Gary's comment. He mentioned that he had seen a site that had come up in the comments. Now this actually happened, I saw this too quite a while ago, and I have since deleted it. But anyway, okay, where am I going with this? Mark in Australia saw it too. And anyway, I said, I'll try to remember to talk about those links in part 721 today. Well, we're in 721 right now. Now let's go back and see what he was talking about. I get a lot of those. Okay, first let's look at it and see what it said. So we're going to go back. Okay, here's the comments. Now I get to see this, but you can't see it except that I'm showing it to you. And where is it? Here. It's this. I believe he was talking about this one here from Martin Fielder. Now, in all likelihood, that's not the person's real name, but it's a comment that looks like this. And if you click on it, it's probably going to take you to a porn site. And I get those, believe it or not, almost every time I upload. You don't see them because I usually remove them before you get to see them. It's too bad this happens, but I think that in all likelihood, anybody who has a lot of viewers are well, they get trolled, and these YouTube trolls, they just go along and they get a kick out of doing stuff like this. I don't think they're actually making any money off it. I think they just like to make mischiefs of themselves. And it's annoying, but that's the way it is. And anyway, I've had this as long as I've been putting up YouTube videos. My first encounter with a problem on YouTube was way back when somebody was using my platform to voice his opinion against somebody else. And it really had nothing to do with me, but it had something to do with somebody who was in my video. And these two people didn't get along, apparently. And anyway, I had to disable comments on that particular video. Now, interestingly enough, there's another video that I've got up that is quite popular, and it has something to do with using CA glue and baking soda to patch something in a piece of wood. Yeah, it's sort of a crack filler. Well, that particular video was really popular, and it had a lot of views and a lot of comments. And suddenly, for no reason at all, the comments started getting really nasty and vulgar, and I had to disable comments in that particular video. And anyway, these things happen. This is nothing new. I think any of us who have a lot of viewers are preyed upon by the YouTube trolls. And I'm sorry if I don't get those deleted before most people see them. It seems that these trolls hit you as soon as your video comes up, or very soon thereafter, and they'll stick in something like what we're seeing over here, and then when, like I say, you click on it, and I have to see what it's all about, and in every case it's taken you to some sort of porn site. So yeah, there's just nothing you can do about it. I'm sure that the other people that are putting out videos like myself, creators, I guess they're called, I'm sure that the other creators are having the same problem. And Anyway, I'll try and catch those before you get to see them, but sometimes I miss it, and there it is, and it makes me look bad, and you look bad for clicking on it, and anyway, enough of that. Let's go to the model table here. Now, there is something that I forgot to mention, and it's kind of important, and that is that YouTube will normally filter these comments out. They have a way of being able to figure out what is, what is trolling and what is inappropriate and so on, and they will filter them out into a file that only I see if I click on the tab, and it's called Held for Review. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because occasionally your comments end up getting filtered in there. So if you make a comment and you can't understand why it is that it's not displayed, well, it's probably because YouTube sensed or thought. Now, mind you, YouTube does not always get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong, and a very, very harmless, helpful, well-meaning comment gets filed away into the Held for Review file. I just wanted to mention that. So if I've accidentally hurt somebody's feelings by not having their comment come up, well, I certainly didn't mean to. Now, what is with this little tin of, I think you pronounce that Humbrol, Humbrol, Humbrol paint. Now, this is an enamel paint. I don't use it because it's a lot easier to clean the paintbrush with the acrylics. But this little tin that I'm holding in my hand right now, this literally goes back to the Titanic. I used this somewhere on the Titanic in Lusitania when I built them going on way back in the 80s. So at least 4 viewers have suggested if you put down silver first and then put the clear, like the clear green or the clear red over top of the silver, you'll get a lot better results. Now, I was thinking over top of white. If you remember yesterday, I put the white down here on our little swatch, and but I'm going to take it. I'm going to use this silver. I've got this. This one is actually silver. The other two are just a type of gray, so they're not going to be any good. But this one here, if you listen, you can hear that it's that's still liquidy. Remarkably, after all these years, it's probably still good. So I'm going to put it in the paint shaker and shake it up really good, and I'm going to put a little swatch of silver on and let it dry. Now, it does mean that I'm going to have a little bit more difficulty cleaning out my brush, because enamel does not clean up as well as does acrylic. I don't think I can use water on this, so I'm going to have to find my paint thinner or solvent or something like that, or maybe 99% isopropyl will work. I'm not sure. I haven't tried the isopropyl on enamel, but I've got solvent down in my workshop, so let's just see what we can do here. Now, as well as this Humbrol number 11 silver, I've also got the Tamiya X32 titanium silver. Now, I think that this is going to be sort of a darker silver. For what we want, I would imagine that we would want it to be as bright as possible. So I'm just going to put a swatch of this down as well, and we'll just compare. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? No, I haven't opened this tin for a long time. You know what? I did shake it up, but let's just give it one more quick shake here, because there probably is little silver pigments floating around in there. Now we'll just do one line of it. Okay, let's let that dry. I'll clean out the brush and then we'll put a swatch of this down. Now, how do I pick this up without getting it on my fingers? Now, as I'm sitting here editing this out and watching myself, I'm thinking, you know what? You can do this a lot more awkwardly if you try, Ron. Okay. Make sure that seals really good for next time. Now, this one I also shook in the paint shaker, but we'll just give it a quick here. Oh, I gotta clean this out. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. We're all cleaned up here. My house smells like solvent now. It's amazing, just a tiny little bit of this. I think when I bought this, I should have bought the low odor. Maybe next time I go to the hardware store, which will probably be never, I'll pick up a gallon of the low odor stuff. It's a lot easier to work with, maybe. Anyway, we're cleaned up here, and let's try our titanium silver. Now, this is kind of unusual. I can tell right now this is probably not going to be too good. No, it's kind of like it almost looks like it didn't mix, but I shook it really good in the paint shaker, and I wonder if there's maybe sediment on the bottom there. What could I use to go straight to the bottom? I need something to stir with. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, well, my Tamiya paint is in the paint shaker in the kitchen. I just want to show you something that I made up probably, well, I keep saying 40 years ago because it was back in the early 80s. It was a sort of a homemade paint stirrer for these little tins, and it actually worked quite well. You just had to be careful to not start it up until you actually had the impeller or whatever you want to call it down in the bottom of the tin. Otherwise, it would have a tendency to splatter. And all I did was I put a couple of C-sized batteries in, and then I had this on a foot switch, which I don't know where it is now. Went down onto the floor, and when I, made contact, well, the little motor started up, and now I know you can buy these things. In fact, I think Amazon sells it. I think Pache makes one, or at least their name is on it. Maybe I'll start using this again, or maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Now, before I put this in the paint shaker, I did stir it up really good with the end of our paintbrush here. Now, this should look a lot different. I haven't seen it since the last time we looked. Okay, that's looking a little bit more like I think it's supposed to. Okay, let's let that dry. Now, what you did not see me do here just now, well, actually about 10 minutes ago, I used the heat gun, and I force-dried this swatch that we just put on, and put a second coat on. Even after the first coat, I was noticing there was a lot of little bubbles or something on the surface. The Humbrol paint is much better quality, and it paints on a lot better too. I remember that from when I used to use it. It it used to paint really nice with a brush. Anyway, enough about that. I'm just going to reinforce my wires here, because where I've got them soldered on, if the flexing is going to eventually break them. I think I used to have an elastic band around this, but I can't remember anymore. Don't anybody comment and say, well, now you're plugging up the vents for the cooling. I don't think we need to worry about that. Okay, there, now when I'm flexing it back and forth like this, I'm not going to break the solder connection off, at least not as easily, and I can still hold on to it. Now I'm pretty sure that I heard somebody crying out, "I want to see it work, I want to see it work." Okay, went down into my workshop and I got a couple of these cheap Panasonic batteries. When I used to buy clock parts from an outfit here in Canada, and they were called Craft Time Clockery, and they used to always include batteries with their movements, and batteries like this would run a movement for maybe a year, but whenever I'd make a clock, I usually gave most of them away, and I would put in a better quality battery, like you know, the Duracell, or the what's the one with the rabbit? Anyway, maybe that is the one with the rabbit. Now, I can't remember if when I did this, if I put a sort of a dummy thing in here like a bolt, so to drop it down to just 1.5 volts, so this thing wouldn't turn so fast. Well, let's just try it, because I haven't used this for a long time. Now, this should work here. I better hang on to it just in case it sort of torques itself all over the place. Here we go. Okay, I must have just had one battery, because that's turning way too fast. Anyway, you can see that it does actually work. Where are we here? Ah, and it worked really well. Take my word for it. Okay, now this is probably what I did, something like this. The difference is I did it a little less klutzy. Now, I'm pretty sure that screw is going to make contact here, and this should turn a little bit slower. On the other hand, maybe it won't. Wow, wonder why. Does this thing not conduct electricity? Oh, you know what? It's painted on the end. Let's see if I can find something that's not painted. Okay, we'll try this one. You know, we got nothing else to do anyway. I gotta wait for this to dry, right? Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more normal. Okay, enough fooling around here. Now, as you can see here, the humidity in the house is extremely low, 22%, and this is dried. Okay, I do not think that there's any use using our ordinary red and ordinary green. We know that that's going to work and what it's going to look like. The experiment is with this clear color. So let's just reset up here, and first we'll put on the green, and then I'll clean the brush, and then we'll put on the red. Or actually, I've got another brush like this. Why can't I just do one right after the other? Now, you may be wondering, why is the humidity so terribly low? Well, here in Winnipeg, in the wintertime, the humidity is low. I don't know if it's if that's the humidity outside, but here inside the house, that's what it is. I don't have a humidifier, so okay. So here we go. And we're just going to go straight across. I don't think I need to. Yeah, we'll just do one. Okay. Now the red. Let's try not to let these mix together here. It might be a good idea to do 2 coats. Let's see with it. Let's put a little extra on there. Put it on extra thick. Well, maybe that's not a good idea either. Okay, let's just leave that. And tomorrow, after it's dry, we'll put the macro lens on, and we'll have a nice close look. You know what? Maybe I should. Now the green, I can tell by looking at the green right now. That's just about right. But the red doesn't quite look right. Maybe I should do 2 coats. I'm going to do one up here and let it dry, and then later on this evening I'll put on another coat and make it extra thick. We'll see which we like the best. Maybe I'll put the extra coat on this one down here, because this one here looks almost perfect. Ah. That was close, wasn't it? Okay, thanks for watching, folks. And all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.